what do you make of Mr. Ponmudi, that is the Tamil Nadu Higher Education Minister's comment? It was not needed to refer to Pani Puri sellers, Hindi-speaking people as Pani Puri sellers, which is the reference that he's making here.
Education minister's cultureless, uneducated, senseless speech. That's what I can say. And this person is always arrogant, and he wants to create a divide between the Tamil Nadu and the other states. Either he has to apologize or the Chief Minister Stalin has to condemn him and remove him from the ministry. Yeah, they are trying to create a divide in the country. That is what the DMK always does. In order to hide the 1 year's failure, these people are talking like this. See, they have literally destroyed the Tamil people by giving liquor to each and every house through the government shops, the Remark shops, and the last 4 decades. They have been destroying, they have been literally doing this. Tamil Nadu is the highest revenue state which is collecting revenue by selling liquor in Remark shops. So instead of correcting Tamil, why unnecessarily they are targeting people, who are selling Pani Puri? It is a very, it is a job. That's all. But they are trying to say that the Hindi-speaking people are like that. So it is their intention to create a divide. We strongly condemn this.
This was not required. Do you think this is a deliberate sort of an attempt to keep that debate alive? And you mentioned that it's an attempt to create a divide. It's not needed to make such a statement, isn't it? Not needed at all.
It is a deliberate, intentionally created one. They want to have a rift. They want to, instigate people. They want to provoke people. That is what they are trying. Media is also succumbing to these dialogues, because Ponmudi is not known to anyone in Tamil Nadu. This person has got no sense. He has spoken like this. I think the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu should call him and dismiss him from the ministry.
Do you think they'll do that? Do you think this is deliberate? Because recently, see, you can have a debate, Mr. Tirupati, and even you're from Tamil Nadu. There is a strong feeling about any attempt to impose Hindi. Now, you can debate it. It is a valid subject of debate. You can debate whether you need Hindi, how much of Hindi do you need Hindi at all? It's a civil debate that you can have. But the kind of references that are being made, I think Narayan Tirupati will try and get you back on the channel a little while later. Thank you for joining us on the broadcast. I think we are getting in more reactions. Priyanka, I think we're getting in more reactions to the breaking news story.
Right. Well, yes, thank you, Niranjan. We also have several voices pouring in. We have Usha Uttup, a well-known singer, in fact, joining us on the broadcast. Usha Uttup, if I could come to you about this entire language debate that has been unraveling there in Tamil Nadu, where now the Tamil Nadu Education Minister himself is talking about Hindi, in fact, demeaning Hindi, talking about how Hindi does not create employability, how Hindi, in fact, is also equated to people with menial jobs, people who sell Pani Puri. Your thoughts? Usha Uttup, if you can hear me, ma'am, we have seen how the entire language debate has unraveled there in Tamil Nadu. Now the Tamil Nadu Education Minister himself making statements claiming that it is Hindi that is not something that creates employability. He's also demeaning Hindi, also saying that Hindi is spoken by people who sell Pani Puri. Well, we'll reconnect that line in just a bit, but our senior executive editor, Abhishek Kapoor, is also joining us on the broadcast. Abhishek, put this into perspective for us, because we have seen that the language debate has been unraveling for quite some time there in the southern states, especially there in Tamil Nadu as well, where the Chief Minister himself has also written to the Prime Minister asking for Tamil Nadu to be made the official language. In the midst of that, we see that the Tamil Nadu Education Minister making such comments and demeaning Hindi.
This is problematic at 2 levels, Priyanka. Shows bit of a language chauvinism, as also bit of a racism there, that someone associated with Hindi is only saying Pani Puri. I mean, see the respect with which India has treated APJ Abdul Kalam, for example. His being a Tamil was never an issue, and he was people's president because everyone across the country really loved him. So also, of course, our first president, S. Radhakrishnan. I think what is important is that the minister, in his anxiety to please his political bosses, perhaps has taken a line which, as I mentioned,
No
is
reactions.
problematic
Abhishek.
both at the level of...
Abhishek,
Yes, Niranjan.
Abhishek, I think we're getting in some responses. Abhishek, stay with me. Abhishek, sorry to interrupt you there. Suman C. Raman joining us on the phone line. Suman, was it required? You can debate about Hindi. You can debate whether Hindi is being imposed. You can debate whether Hindi is required, how much of Hindi is needed in the syllabus. It's a matter of debate. But to make the Pani Puri sellers comparison, the analogy, it's an insult. It's an attempt to classify Pani Puri sellers as the only people who can, it's a downright insult. You've had several parties responding. Suman, what is your thought on that?
No, I think, first of all, this is not the first time that such references to Pani Puri sellers is being made. If you take social media, it is full of many such references made by those sympathetic to the ruling party or, sometimes even those who are members of the party themselves. So I think that that's extremely unfortunate. But I think that the minister clearly made a very, very unwarranted statement. He could easily have said, look, we are for the two-language policy. The government is opposed to the three-language policy, and left it at that. There was no reason to draw in the reference to Pani Puri sellers and so on. But and I think that an apology is called for. Hopefully, the minister is known for intemperate statements in the past also. But I think that in this particular case, with the governor present on the stage, to be making such a statement is unacceptable.
All right, I thank Dr. Suman C. Raman for joining us on the broadcast, and several such reactions coming in, viewers, and this entire story only getting bigger, where now the Tamil Nadu Education Minister has also made several comments demeaning Hindi and has made several comments about how Hindi, in fact, is equated to people who have menial jobs and also people who sell Pani Puri. I'll thank Niranjan, Abhishek, and all of our guests who are joining us on the broadcast. We'll keep coming back.